All right, we're on. I'm here this afternoon with a good mate of mine, good-looking man, and he's a Victorian, but we won't hold that against him. His name's Danny McAllister. Hello, Danny. How you going, mate?
Good, thanks, Matt. And yes, I'm a very proud Victorian. Thank you very much.
You're the only good-looking Victorian.
I tend to agree on that one.
Mate, I enjoy our chats, and I've been doing a lot of interviews, these Skype type interviews lately, and you were definitely someone I wanted to chat to, and sort of disguised as a formal businessy type chat, but really just to catch up, because I'm a big believer in catching up and chatting with people where you leave the conversation inspired and motivated and ready to, conquer stuff rather than the opposite. So, mate, I'll stop rambling and maybe give us a little bit of an overview of your background and, what you've done in the past.
Well, where do we go? Where do we start? We start back. Well, I'll just talk about what I used to be a welder. So anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's working in steel fabrications. I grew up down in the country and worked power stations and stuff like that, which I did for 12 and a half years, and I absolutely hated it. But I persevered with it because it was good money, didn't know what else to do, all those sorts of things. Then I got into the fitness industry, and I've been there for 20 years now. And in that time, it's evolved. It's been quite a good journey, from the personal trainer who did work from the shed at home where I used to live to doing mobile into a gym, then become my own commercial personal training studio, which grew to quite a large size, to where we are now. I've sort of downsized a bit because I've gone more into rehabilitation and working with disabilities, which mainly being multiple sclerosis and acquired brain injuries and a lot more of disability, as in dementia, autism, so along those sort of scopes. I've also, I know I always miss this one out, but I'm an author. For some reason, I always miss that one out, and I do quite a bit of coaching as well. So there's quite a variety, but my main line is in the disability rehab work.
Yeah, got it. I definitely want to ask this question, and it could be the seed of a whole other conversation, but you've been in the fitness industry for 20 years, and that's how you and I got to know each other many years ago. And we often have conversations about what the fitness industry was, what it presently is, and what it might very well become. Can you give us a bit of an idea of your thoughts on where the fitness industry's been in the past and maybe where it's going to?
All right. In the past, it's been that I always thought, even when I started, I didn't like gyms. I didn't like the culture of gyms being a very blokey environment, very weights orientated, and one of the reasons I got into the niche that I am in now is because when I worked at a gym, and back then in the early days, we were gym instructors, not personal trainers. Personal trainers were hardly even known about. And I noticed that all the guys working in the industry were gravitating to those who were fit, who were agile, who were the ones who really didn't need any support or guidance and things like, because it was easy. And it became a very clicky sort of environment where if you weren't fit and you weren't right into fitness, you were left behind. And that's a huge market, so that's how I got into it. And that's the way, when I started, what it was like. Over the years, it has progressed a lot better. But now the industry are starting to understand that just because people are overweight, they're not just lazy. There's a whole heap of other factors. They're actually starting to understand people a lot more. And so it should. And it's not so much about being fit and able-bodied. It's more about now the person, the individual, and working with that individual. So, you know, one of my philosophies, or my philosophy about the industry is that I think the industry, the fitness industry is up here and the real world's down here. And the fitness industry want the real world, which is a huge population, to come up into our world, be fit, eat well, all those sorts of things. And this big population is not going to do it when we start telling people what to do. So we've got to come down to that same level and speak the same language. Once we start speaking the same language, people will get what we're on about. And I think we're finally starting to move that way.
I really like that analogy of the real world and the fitness world, and I think that relates in a lot of different areas and industries. There's the real world and what certain industries think is the real world. But give me an example, like you say that we are getting to that, where the real world, the fitness world is coming back to the real world. Give me an example of that. What sort of things do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's that thing of now when a person goes to a gym, they just don't get a set protocol of measuring, you know, how your body fat, all those sorts of things. Those things are now optional. One time they were just part of what you did. I mean, when I first started, they were the things that we did. You know, someone comes in and says they want to lose weight and get fit. You run a tape measure around them, you get skin plots and all that. Someone who's large knows they're large. They don't need some skinny gym bunny or whoever telling them that. So now the approach is a lot different.
Someone like you, yeah.
So, someone buffed, beautiful like me. It happens, I know, and I can be intimidating.
It's intimidating, that's right.
Yeah, but it's that thing now. There's the word I probably would use is there's a lot more empathy. You know, so we're changing in that direction. It's slow, but we're getting there. So
yeah, I love it.
And you know, when you look on the internet, there's so much stuff on the internet, but a lot of it's about this extreme people doing these handstand push-ups. Or tell me how many people need to do a handstand push-up.
For their Facebook account, mate, it is very important.
Yeah. I'd like it.
Got it. Okay, so on that point, a big part of why I wanted to do this interview is to discuss with someone like you with such experience in the industry, things like patience, things like doing small things consistently over the long term is the only way, and underline and bold the word only, the only way to get long-term real life results. And I know that you agree with that because you are a good trainer and you've stood the test of time as in that fitness industry. The question for you is, can you give us some examples of clients that you've had that have stories like that of overcoming big challenges and seeing great results over the long term?
Over 20 years, Matt, I would hope that I can, and I do, right? But one in particular, and like I said, there's the huge population that was getting missed out and still are getting missed out. And now this particular guy come to me because he had the black dog depression, and when he first come in, and that was part me also, you know, not knowing exactly what the fitness industry was about. I jumped into it and I thought it had to be that fitness, all that fitness sort of stuff. And he come to see me because he was suffering from depression, and I knew enough about it, but you know, like probably the best thing for him working with me was the fact that, in a sense, I probably was a little bit naive about it. So, and the last thing that he wanted was someone telling him what he needed to do. He knew what he needed to do. He just had to get his head in the right spot. And so I just took him on face value. We just chatted, and probably the thing that worked for me in that relationship or building that rapport was I was non-judgmental about his fitness, about his if some people would say lack of motivation. I had to understand listen to his story and understand where he was coming from, and not being judgmental about it, and then, you know, working slowly from there. So in the beginning, if I had said to him, and he told me this, if I had said to him, you know, you should go for a walk because it takes your mind off things, and then, you know, you can notice that things are really nice out there, he would have just told me to piss off. You know, and the thing was, I said to him, look, just do what you can do. When we trained, I knew he liked his music, so we spoke about music, we spoke about all the things that, you know, and that's the thing about finding out someone is finding and listening what they like, what their interests are, and building that rapport. And once we did that, he got the trust. He built enough trust in me, and was able to talk a lot more. We started to do exercise. He got to the stage where he started to do his own thing, you know, like go for walks and started to do exercise. He got interested in the nutritional side of things and what he was doing. So that slow progress, that was over a couple of years. So that wasn't a short-term thing. It was over quite a few years. Now he plays in a band. He's got a great sense of humour, you know, and he's just enjoying life as best he can. You know, I'm not saying he's cured, but geez, it's a shitload better than he ever used to be. So,
yeah, that's gold, mate.
Just a short story, mate.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you used one that was more of a not just a physical body improvement, because as we know, exercise can help in lots of ways.
Yeah.
Good segue into my next question, Danny, which is which you mentioned the MS before. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with that, mate.
The MS, I have been now doing the MS for around 12 years. And how it started, I suppose it seems to be a theme of my working environment. I stumbled onto it because a client rang me up and asked about MS. Am I capable of training someone in their MS? And I actually said yes, but I didn't know a great deal. So after we made an appointment for her to come in, I Googled the hell out of MS and found out as much information as I could. And by the time she come in, I had a greater understanding of MS. And then from there, asked a lot of questions, again, build that rapport, and she could, so that she could trust that I was capable of doing it. And then from there, from that point, over the next 12 years, I've dealt with a lot, you know, like hundreds of clients with MS, and I've asked them a shitload of questions about what it is, because everyone's different, and there's no one answer to or one process to getting results with MS. So I've had to learn a lot and still am, but I really enjoy that environment, working with those guys, and the gratification you get from seeing someone who has trouble moving their legs to be able to walk or balance and have that independence. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what I do with the MS and how it's grown. But that's been a process over the 12 years, you know, and it's not something that you know, the MS Society have taken quite a while to recognise me as the person who they can safely send someone to who has MS and train. So.
Yeah, okay. And,
yeah.
and I'm going to assume that there's not a massive, like as you say, you had to go in and Google it. There wouldn't be a lot of qualified personal trainers that do specialise in that area.
No, one, that's very fortunate for me, but the other thing is it's not fortunate for the MS guys with MS, because what I found, you know, and this is personally again just me, but a lot of trainers tend to want to train the able body, and MS can be quite daunting to someone who you know, like for me, say for example, to train you, Matt, I can just throw anything at you and you'll do it, you know, because you're a legend. But besides that, yeah, but you know, if I've got someone and I say to them, all right, I want you to walk, and they can hardly walk, you know, that's not going to be a lot of fun for a lot of trainers who want to give you all the fancy exercises and you know, give these wonderful programs. So sometimes I can work with someone for half an hour and we do 2 exercises or 2 mobility movements and work on that. So it's to me, it's it's a patience game, definitely a patience game, and for them it's very frustrating. But I wish there would be more trainers who would get involved in it. That's for sure.
I bet, exactly. And maybe we talked about the future of the fitness industry before. You know, maybe that's a big area that needs a bit of focus, is special populations and more trainers getting involved and getting qualified and registered in those different areas.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I want to change focus a little bit now and talk about you being an author, as you touched on before. There is endless and copious amounts of people out there that say that's one of their goals, is to write a book. You know, they've got all these grand and great ideas about what they could write about, but that's always what it seems to be, just ideas. But you're one of those relatively few people that has published a book. So, mate, I'd love for you to tell us a bit more about that, but more importantly, the reality, rather than the bells and whistles of being a published author, and more about the reality and the hard work and the challenges that you face.
I loved writing the book. I really enjoyed it. The process itself was a long-term process because I couldn't read, write, spell. No, that's a lie. But it was that what it started from was I used to. I am, and I used to write a weekly, what I called weekly wise words, and I used to send that out to all my clients as an email, and it come about that clients started saying you should put that into a book, and which is great. But then once I found out the process of getting it into a book, it was quite challenging. But like I say, I enjoyed it because I had short little stories about motivational or about inspirational things. But then when I started to work with I'm trying to think of the word now, the editor, sorry, she said they were too short, the stories were too short, and I was writing them for like emails, so it wasn't long. I kept them quite short because people don't have time for motivation. You know that, Matt? It's quite bizarre, isn't it?
Right.
So I had to keep them short and sharp. But she said now you've got to embellish those stories, or you've got to expand on them and give them a bit more depth. And that was the hard bit. So I had to find examples. So that process took a little bit of time. Once from there, and then it become, all right, how do we place them into a flow? So there was a whole process that kept, each time we kept confronting. We used to have our chapter chats, what we call our chapter chats. Once we worked out what the chapters were, then what we were putting into them, what stories. Also, when you start writing stuff, it's okay to write from your experience and stuff, but if you have to find facts to back it up, that was another thing that I had to do. And then, she say, well, how is that proven? You say this and this and that, prove it to me, or prove it, because someone might read that book and go, that's a crock of shit, because there's nothing that backs it up. So then I had to go, whoa. So there, the research side coming into it, and then you had to try and put that in. So that process of expanding a story become even more. From there, then you had your copywriting or what's the word when they correction word? I can't think of the words when they someone edited. So so the whole process. Then we got to the draft, then the final draft. So it became a process, and that was over really probably about a year. I started writing a long time ago, 4 years ago, but to put it from the package into the product took about a year.
Yeah, wow. So like you're saying that there's a hell of a lot to it, right? So my question is, did you want to quit?
Not in that, because once I spoke to the editor, she said it was, and I said to her, just tell me straight up, does it have substance? Does it have the legs to go? And she did. I always thought it did, but she did, and that gave me the enthusiasm to keep going, because it was something that I really wanted to do, to write a book, and that once I had someone else who could believe in it, or who did believe in it, that gave me enough, or that was the catalyst to keep going, that's for sure. So, yeah. And then once I started telling people about what I was doing, I was pretty committed. So
yeah, got it. Okay, cool. Mate, that leads me into my next question, which is all about motivation and getting motivated. And for me, what I tell to anyone that will listen, and what I bang on about maybe too much, is that motivation is actually detrimental to what we want, because you're not going to wake up every day and be motivated. Yet to reach our goals, we have to wake up every day and still do what's required. Is my belief. So I'm going to ask you, maybe in relation to the book, or from a fitness environment, what's your opinions on motivation?
Good question, Matt. Good question. I mean, to me, and we know this, and we've mentioned this many times, it's short term. Motivation's short term. It's a feel good factor, you know. And the beauty of motivation is we love theory, but you know, motivation's really, that's all it is. But it's not the where the results happen. In theory, that's great. We can live in theory, and we're going to be wonderful. But what it does, motivation, it makes us feel better. But what I find with motivation, when people use the term motivation, most times they don't have enough pain or hurt or urgency or to keep them going. So I'll use, you know, like the gym environment, for example, you know, or a gym or a fitness program. People start these wonderful 12-week programs, and they're all enthused, and they've got their food, they've gone out, cleared the cupboards, the whole lot, and then within about 3 weeks, they're struggling. They're going, oh, I can't wait to finish, you know, all that sort of stuff. So the motivation's gone, you know. And you know, and another example, and I think I've used this one before with you, you know, when we talk about detox, you know, when people want to detox and they get all motivated and they buy this box full of, let's say, powder, you know, detox chemicals, if we want to call it that, or a squash of lemon in a box, and they pay a tremendous amount of money that's going to last them 21 days, and I'm going to be the best.
Though. It's a good lemon.
Oh yes, it's top quality lemon. It's top quality. But what happens is you know, like, it's one of those things where they get motivated to do it, and then after a couple of days they go, geez, lemon tastes shit. And so they stop. So yeah, but so motivation to me is that thing of it's used as an end product rather than a sustainable entity, if that makes sense. You know, so it's that it's a reason, but it's not a why. How's that?
All right, yeah, and I get it, right, 100% with you there. But rather than both of us talk down to the motivation thing, let's talk up the alternative. What should people be doing? So, you know, we touched on before a bit about patience and consistency and stuff like that. But in relation, like those 12-week programs, what should someone be doing rather than doing that, or a detox? And maybe not the specific, but the generalistic nature of it.
The thing is, I suppose, Matt, is, you know, and I'm glad you asked that question, because some people would think, well, he's just dead against 12-week programs and detox. What they are, they're a product that can get people to achieve things. But what, you know, when people go, oh, the diet didn't work, it's not the diet that didn't work. It's the person that didn't work the diet, you know, because these things can work if they're sustainable. And the problem is that a lot of times things aren't sustainable. We have the great motivation or theory on what we want, and that's wonderful, but it's being able to sustain that. And that is that thing of you've got to have, you know, if they, I suppose, in a sense, if they sold the program and said, all right, we're going to do 12 weeks, but over 12 weeks, you're going to get results, but geez, you're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to be consistent in what you do. But a lot of people look at it, what the 12 weeks is going to produce, and go, oh, I want that pretty much in 4 weeks, and forget about the other 8. but it's being able to go, all right, it's going to be 12 weeks, it's going to be hard, or it's going to be a little bit difficult, whatever the terms are, and then go, how do I do that? So I've got to do that. I've got to be patient. I've got to be consistent in what I do. You know, like most times, if another philosophy that I always use with my clients and when I'm coaching or training or whatever it is the 80-20 principle. Now, if we were 80% good 80% of the time, 80% of our life, on our exercise, our food, our attitude and everything like that, we're going to do well. But most of us want 100% and we just can't be 100%. So
exactly, and we want that 100% after, as you say, 4 weeks or 2 weeks or tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one is, speaking of things like 12-week programs and detoxes and all that sort of stuff, and what I'm learning a lot in my Masters of Business at the moment is the influence of marketing and hype and bells and whistles, and the fitness industry is a really good example of that. Where do you stand on things like marketing and how it relates to the actual results that we get?
Well, I'll speak mainly from my industry, the fitness industry. As I said before, I think marketing doesn't speak the same language. It gives that, it offers the quick fix, it offers hope, but the hope is pretty far-fetched. And the thing is, people want that quick fix, and they're selling the what, you know. And I'll use the Simon Sinek thing because I think it really resonates. They're selling the what, but not the why. You know, and I'll go back to the detox thing. Is the detox in a box is a wonderful product. People pay big dollars for it, but and it sells. Now, if I had a box and they open up that box and in the bottom of the box that it just had stop eating shit and exercise, would they buy it? Probably not.
Sell too many.
No, but that's what the detox does, you know. But they sell millions of dollars worth of detox things. So,
and this might be a conversation for another time, but I think we're really hitting the nail on the head here in regards to humans and why we do this quick fix bullshit. Is it's not sexy.
Exactly.
Marketing makes things sexy, but it's not. But marketing's not necessarily true. So we need to maybe somehow find a balance between reality being sexy. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're stuck to the detox, you may find yourself sexy. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know, Matt. It's one of those things that marketing has that. It does. It sells the sexy. It sells the pizzazz, you know, and it sells what we believe is going to make us a better person. But you know, like as you've seen many times, that people can lose weight, they can look good, but they're still miserable. I'll tell you an example, and hopefully this doesn't go too far away from your question. But there was one client I had, and her husband was dying from motor neurons. Now, she was under a tremendous amount of stress, and so she lost a lot of weight. But there were other girls who would come in and go, "What is she doing? She looks fantastic." You know, so that's what sells. Someone who looks good. But I said to those girls, "You don't want the diet that she's on." So you know, and that's what it is. You know, it sells. Sometimes it sells that thing of, God, you're going to look good, you're going to feel good or whatever, but are you really? You know, does the product really do that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm almost, and I think marketing in general is, people are just immune to the whole, the quick fixes and the 12-week challenges and the detoxes. And I really think and I really hope that human beings are more integral and more expecting just real answers. No more bullshit. Yeah. Stop selling me on shit. Stop selling me on lies. And, you know, tell me the truth, because that's refreshing. That's what people want now, I'd like to think.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I totally agree, because I mean, the word you used was real, and I think that's what it needs. You know, and that's the thing that works for people is people are smart enough now to know when someone's being genuine, and they're sick of the, if you want to call it, the dodgy salesperson who's selling them the hope of something that's going to change their life forever. And we know things don't change your life forever. You change your life forever. Exactly. And so it's that thing of being able to understand that what we've got to do is get to the person at a level that they go, I get you, or you get me. Timers, don't you love them? Sell a timer. They make a noise.
Are you boiling an egg or something?
No, because I've got to really focus and concentrate on that. So that's a pretty hard task.
Yeah.
I read Jamie Oliver's book, and I just said it's too hard, Jamie. But it's that thing of, you know, like being told the truth. I think now, you know, and it's the same as, like, I'll use an example with the guys with MS. They will say, "Can I fix them? Can I make them walk?" Now I could go, you know, "Yeah, mate. If we do such and such, yes, we can." And I've got to be honest and go, "I don't know, but Jesus, we'll do our best we can to make you more mobile, more independent, or whatever it is."
And what you've done there is, as you say, gotten rid of that used car salesman approach, and they've seen you as an honest, trustworthy person. So therefore, they're going to listen and be there long term, right? Rather than just expecting these quick fixes.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's sorry to interrupt, yeah, but it's that thing of same as you and I, Matt. If I was telling you shit, you'd work out eventually and go, "I don't want to deal with this person," and that's, I think, what it is, and that's what it needs to be. Is use the old cliche: you treat others the way you like to be treated. Like, I won't ring someone up about, "Do you want to join our personal training studio?" over the phone, because I would hate someone to do that to me.
Yeah, okay, got it. I was going to add one, and we're obviously running short on time. I've got about 4-ish minutes.
Yeah.
But that's about the time it takes you to run a mile, isn't it? About 4 minutes?
Yeah. Just under.
Sorry, they wrote about here. But just quickly, the where we are with social media and things like that, I think marketing has changed more to content marketing. You know, people have more time for select people, and they'll watch something like this interview and get information rather than a billboard, where it's just one quick message or an ad in a paper or something like that. And when it was a quick message, people did have to try and spin stories and you know, give us these quick fixes. But by someone watching this for 30 minutes, they are going to get a bit more educated, and therefore realise the truth of whatever the person's talking about, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty, I suppose, of what you're doing, is that people can sit there and watch at their own leisure, stop, start, the whole lot, but actually be able to tell whether someone is talking shit or not.
Exactly.
And hopefully they won't flick through this one and go, "Whoa, they're a bit dodgy." But it's that thing of, you know, like, and I know myself, when I'm looking for information, there's certain cues that I'll just go, "No, this is not for me." And I think people are so much more savvy to that information now, like you say, because there's so much more of it, rather than just getting an ad in the paper and saying, "Lose weight, 12-week program, it's you." You know, that's
exactly. And from a marketing perspective, you won't get the same amount of reach with that 30-minute interview, because not everyone's going to watch, but the ones that do are your, you know, business family, or that group of people that love you and trust you. So, you know, from a business owner's point of view, give massive value, and you know, people will love you and trust you. All right, mate. Let's go into the last couple of questions I have for you, which is personally for you, what holds you back the most?
Personally, me. And what I mean by that is my self-doubt. I have that self-doubt. You get the voices in your head that you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not skilled enough, you know, all those sort of things. And sometimes if you listen to people, you tend to not so much believe it, but really doubt yourself. And so I fight with, and another thing is I fight with so many ideas, too many ideas, that sometimes I can get overwhelmed and not do much. So you procrastinate and stop and start, and then I'll go and do this. You know, perfect example was what I'm intend on doing. Started out as a workshop to a book to internet. Then spoke to someone else. It becomes an app. You go, no, let's stop. Let's bring it back to something that you can do and you'll be good at. You know, so you become overwhelmed and fight with too many ideas. So pretty much the one who holds me back is me. You know, I believe I'm capable of it, but sometimes I just doubt it. So. I've lost Matt. I've lost you. I can't hear you.
How's that?
That's better.
All right, we've got about a minute, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. A one-sentence answer for all those people that have been in that world of detoxes and 12-week challenges and all that quick fix stuff. What's your one-sentence tip for them?
Be consistent, be patient, and have a real why for what you do. Because if you don't have that why, you're gonna drop off and lose interest. So don't use motivation, use the other three.
Danny McAllister, thanks for your time, mate. It's been awesome.
Thanks, Matt. Good on you.